Is it true that the application process for settled status can still only be done on an Android phone and not on an iPhone?
So the application can be done on any device, but the chip checker currently only works on Android.
Okay, so half the population will be disadvantaged as to be able to make that application.
Well, that's Apple's choice. And that's the reality. And the Home Office has been working really closely with Apple for the last, well, certainly since I've been in the job, so the last 10 months, to encourage them to move to a position where they will allow the chip checker to be used on their device. But you can go through the settled status scheme on an Apple device, and it saves it every step of the way, much like doing your tax return online. You don't have to start from scratch every single time, but you can then complete it by using an Android device at the very end.
So do you think this can be resolved, or are you just going to blame Apple?
Well, it's Apple that won't release the upgrade that we need in order for it to function.
Well, it's you that are requesting the system to change, and people having to register, and one would think you would design a system that could be accessible to as many people in the population as possible, in the easiest way possible.
Well, it is accessible via any device, but the chip checker hasn't been released by Apple, and I think to try and blame that on the Home Office is very unfair of you.
Okay, so can I ask, what do individuals receive as proof once they have applied for the settled status?
So they get a digital status which they can then forward via a secure link to employers, to landlords, to a wide range.
Do they get do they get a physical document,
no.
biometric permit or anything like that? So if an employer or another person who had to check their status was unable to access an online system at that particular point or time, how do they check?
So the government's mission is to move to services that are digital by default, and we think that providing this, and there are several examples of where this is working successfully. The digital right to work check, we're rolling out the digital right to rent check, which landlords will be able to access, and actually it might be of interest to the committee. I know that we've previously demoed how the settled status scheme will work. I'm not sure if the Home Affairs Select Committee took up that offer, but it might be of interest to you to do so. But actually at the same time to have a walkthrough of the digital right to work check is a really fantastic example of how government services can be delivered digitally.
And given the Windrush scandal, given the serious delays in the issuing of biometric permits for individuals who have the right to live or work here and need to be able to demonstrate that to an employer or otherwise, and given the mistakes that are regularly made in those processes, why should we have confidence that this system will work effectively in any way for a whole series of individuals?
Well, you highlighted your words, the delay in issuing biometric residence permits. Of course, we're not issuing a physical
permit.
We're
talking about the proof, Minister, of the right and the mistakes that are made at the Home Office end often in those.
We're sending a digital proof which doesn't require any manual construction or printing of a card. So I think that's one enormous step forward. And secondly, I think you're right to highlight the lessons learned of Windrush. Now, I'm very conscious that there's probably a child born in the UK of EU parents in the last couple of months that may well live to 120, 130. It's absolutely imperative that we have a durable system and don't fall back into the trap of Acts of Parliament that give, for example, deemed leave, which nobody 40 years later has any institutional memory of. It's really important to us that we have a scheme that is durable and that will be able to be evidenced forever, not only by the Home Office but by the individuals concerned.